Arizona Cardinals got destroyed, dominated by the Detroit Lions in Detroit on Sunday, and the team is just picking up the pieces. Can they win again? Can they finally clinch a playoff spot? Are they dead in the water for the remainder of 2020, or are they no longer contenders? We'll get into that debate plus more. Cliff Kingsbury, yeah, he's not going to make it without us talking about him on this episode. Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy, start now.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It was an ugly one. It was the worst one, probably the 2021 season. Not in Carolina, that horrible performance off the top spot of the losses of the year. It's Brack, Alex Clancy. There haven't been a lot of them. I mean, the Cardinals are 10-4 on the season. Still, everything that they want to accomplish, it's in front of them. That's probably a cliche that I shouldn't utter anymore on this podcast. Third, the Detroit Lions, it was brutal. I mean, out of the gates, Detroit comes out. They controlled the time of possession. The defense is getting the Arizona Cardinals 3 and outs every other drive, it seems like. And then they started to force a couple turnovers. Next thing you know, Jared Goff's 8-1 against the Arizona Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are 0-2-1 career against Detroit. And here we are just trying to pick everything up. Alex, takeaways from this game is, can this team get right for the stretch run here and the playoffs going forward? Do they have enough talent in the locker room?
I mean, you think so. You'd wish you could say, well, at least they're going home to play on Christmas. That's not an upside. They can't win at home either. You know, they're playing the Colts. The Colts are one of the hottest teams in football. What do they need? Like, I'm still trying to process the just cesspool that I just watched. You know, I mean, the biggest takeaway from that was there was zero redeeming quality from that game. 60 minutes, 70 plus plays, zero redeeming qualities. Nobody looked good. Nobody looked good. And that's something that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do, let alone against a one-win team. So, like, who had none of their stars out there. You know? I don't even know who the running back's name is. Chris Reynolds? Whatever the hell his name is. Craig Reynolds? What does it matter?
Yep.
Ran for over 100 yards. He abused the Cardinals. Like, well, I don't know. I'm very rarely rendered speechless, but I was sitting next to my dad watching the game, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You know?
Well,
I mean, it was a weird Twilight Zone thing.
I was eavesdropping. I heard your dad. He said, this doesn't look locked in. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Senior,
you're right.
Clancy Senior. I mean, unbelievable. But there's problem here. There's an absolute just gigantic problem that this team, this organization, the last couple of years hasn't been able to make the proper adjustments on the back end of this to really be relevant when the NFL matters, and that's going in the playoffs. That's clinching a playoff spot. I mean, they fell short last year. I think last year, if they made the postseason, that would have been a team that was ahead of schedule, right? I mean, only a season really removed from being the worst team in football in 2018, going 29 to the playoffs 2020. But then this season, you're out of excuses. I mean, you went through the horrible end of the year that cost you making the postseason. You can't have. They're not going to suffer that. I think at this point, clinching a spot is inevitable, but that since the blueprint out there that exists to beat Kyler Murray and slow down this offense and then kind of win the time of possession and move the football and score points and dominate this Cardinals team overall on defense and all over, that's the biggest going forward, because if you don't fix that, if you don't counter, this all doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that, you went 7-0 to start. They had the best record in football all the way through week 14 last week, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it takes a loss to the Lions to really, this could be something that they either, go away for the rest of the year, and they potentially could, or they could rebound and to figure out what everybody else has figured out them.
It's going to be a long 3 weeks of football. You know, like it's not going to fly by anymore because this is getting serious now where instead of having margin for error, they have whatever the antithesis of that is. They cannot make any more mistakes the rest of the year. They have to win out. If you want to have any sort of semblance of momentum going into the playoffs, like they still haven't clinched. Okay. They're playing one of the best teams in football over the last handful of weeks in the Colts at home on Christmas. Christmas is a wonky week. It's a short week. You want to be with your family. You're playing out of the spotlight, which they're not good at doing this year. Then you go to Dallas on the game of the week on Fox. They got moved to the afternoon. That's not going to be an easy game. And then Seattle may be playing for a playoff spot. You come home in week 18 and you have to play Russell Wilson. So this gets serious very quickly, especially with how bad they played today. It's not just magically going to get better. Like Chase Edmonds will have another week off of him. They didn't sustain any sort of injuries today, which was good. You hope Rodney Hudson will be back for Saturday if, he doesn't have any lingering effects from COVID. Like, if Rodney Hudson doesn't play on Saturday and the Cardinals can't figure out how to stop the run, Jonathan Taylor is going to break records on Saturday. They haven't played a good back in a long time. Sony Michel, Reynolds, whatever the hell, Craig Reynolds, this is like 2018 all over again.
Yeah, no, it is. It's eerily similar. It's obviously it's nightmare fuel for Arizona fans out there. Getting more into this loss against Detroit and how the Arizona Cardinals can counteract what the NFL has figured out about them and where else they're struggling, and we'll try to figure out where is there any positives going forward? Like what are to be proud about as far as this Arizona Cardinals team? We'll get into that. You listen to the podcast of knowledge. You switch to Boost Mobile for the power of saving money, because with Boost, you get the power of free 5G phone so you can listen to episodes of all the podcasts you love. The power of 3 unlimited lines for $30 per month per line so your family can harness all that brain power too. And the power of one of America's largest 5G networks so you can do all with the speed of 5G. With all that money you'll save and all that knowledge you'll gain, it's just how powerful will you become. Switch and find out. Get to that free Samsung Galaxy A32 5G when you switch to one of the America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Free phone limited to new customers and 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. Offers coverage available everywhere or for phones in all networks. See boostmobile.com for more details. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Thanks for checking out the YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, check it out. Subscribe. Anytime we put up an episode, get those alerts set up so it will notify you when we have a new episode dropping. And things really just getting interesting. Arizona Cardinals come out of the gates. They're 7-0, and then over the next 6 games, they're 3-3. And it's just like, well, I've seen this one before. I've binged this series before. That you're not going to hit me with any twists and turns, and I can tell you it doesn't end well. How can the Arizona Cardinals combat, the NFL pretty much figuring them out? When you look at the last couple games, we had the 2 crucial picks against Los Angeles. He had a crucial pick against Detroit, so 3 picks in the last 2 weeks. He was off on Sunday, Alex. I mean, he was not hitting guys in stride. He seems like he was scrambling. He was running for his life. That interior pressure continued to be an issue for this Arizona Cardinals offensive line. But Kyler Murray specifically, how can he get back on track for this team? Because he has to. He's their lifeline.
No, I agree. I mean, it's not ideal. He didn't look good. I mean, he didn't. There was not, aside from that, with that, late pass to Christian Kirk, like he was off all day. Whether it be Zach Ertz or, the pick to AJ Green, who I'm sure if you want to split responsibility for that, AJ Green didn't necessarily come back to the ball like he was supposed to. But it seems like Kyler's I don't know if he's still injured. I don't like giving that, who knows? Who knows if he's still injured or not? Who knows? We won't find out till the end of the year what it was like this time of year. Because usually things tend to leak out when a season ends at some point. But he hasn't looked like an elite quarterback since he's come back from injury. He just hasn't. And I don't know what it is, because he's not running the ball at all.
No. You use the analogy, and if you didn't watch the game on Sunday, Colt McCoy came in the game to finish it because it was out of hand and there was no sense in risking any injury to your franchise quarterback. But you use the analogy for Kyler Murray, who's like a friend that you had, and everybody knows somebody like this that would not blow off all responsibilities as far as schoolwork, and then go in and ace the test and then pass with flying colors. And that's how you feel Kyler Murray is, and I can see a lot of that. But I think one thing I hope he realizes that even against a team like Detroit, it's felt defense, and you have to do your homework, you have to be prepared, because if you don't, and you go in there and you're just going to kind of rely on your talents, you're going to get your ass beat. And I feel like that's happened. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but I mean, as far as he needed that touchdown to Christian Kirk to salvage what was just a brutal day. I'm sure it might even cost a bunch of people some fantasy football playoffs out there. 23 for 41, 257, down a pick. He was sacked twice. As far as running the football, 4 carries for 3 yards. You're just not getting the same, dynamic performances that we're used to seeing from this franchise quarterback that we saw early on, where people wanted to start to tab him as an early MVP favorite.
Yeah. I mean, when things are going right, it's easy to. When things aren't going right, withstanding that, like, we're at a point now where when they were down at halftime, you thought that there was no chance that they were going to come back and win.
Right.
Like it wasn't like, it was like the Jacksonville game where they run back the short Matt Prater kick from 60 whatever yards. They run back for a touchdown. Okay, exception to the rule. Cardinals will figure it out. It's week 3. They'll figure it out. Like, this was like, they're not the best team on the field by a long shot. And they have they've got no mojo anymore. They've got no mojo. Like, they have to they've got to figure out a way to completely erase the last month of the season, wins and losses, from their cerebellum, and just say, you know what? Play like you've got nothing to lose, even though it's true. Everybody's got a lot to lose. If the Cardinals limp into the playoffs, which it seems like they're going to, say they don't win a game for the rest of the year and still make the playoffs. Okay. Like, you're going to be playing Tampa Bay. You're going to get smoked by 50. So, they've got to figure it out now. Kyler Murray needs to look himself in the mirror now and say, you know what? I don't know what has to change. Completely throw the playbook, throw your game plan out and start fresh. Because you're right. The NFL's caught up just like they did last year. It's in a different way, but they've caught up. How smart are you to be able to stay ahead of the curve? And we're going to find out the last 3 weeks of the season if they are or not.
And I think this is a team that needs to get back to the basics and start to get away from, sure, things were successful your first 7 weeks of the season, right? And you made it to 10-2, you made it to 10-3, whatever. Now you're 10-4, you're 3-3 over your last 6. You have to, a lot of things are not going right as far as the play calling on 3rd and 4th down, and in the red zone, the play calling's been atrocious. And your quarterback is making mistakes. You get back, instead of, you have to crawl before you walk and walk before you run and run before you have to get back. You have to go back a couple notches. I know that you're extraordinary talent. You've got extraordinary talent all across the field. They've got one of the better receiving cores as far as, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Rondale Moore, who was non-existent Sunday. But and on the defensive side of the football, just getting back to the basics and just kind of starting from neutral and then going again, because this is the second half of the season and you've looked pretty crappy in the second half. So get back to the basics from there. And I don't care what the analytics say anymore. There was another key situation. This one was in the first half where the Arizona Cardinals were being shut out. At this point, it was a 10-0 game. I thought that they should have kicked the field goal. They didn't. They went for it on 4th down, and they didn't. And it's 10-0. And then next thing you know, on the other side of things, Jared Goff is able to march the Lions offense down the field. What was it? It was Reynolds, former Ram.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Was it St. Brown with the touchdown?
I think
in the half. 7-0.
Maybe not. Maybe it was Josh Reynolds. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, they go 17. I felt like, look, if it was 10-0 at halftime, absolutely, I would have picked them to come back and win. I think that was easy, a surmountable lead. It was 10-7 in Jacksonville. This was 17-0. And there was nothing positive coming out of the first half against the Lions. It was the most brutal performance of the season, and nobody on the flight home from the Motor City to Phoenix should They shouldn't be binging their favorite TV show or anything. They should be looking at game film and figuring out what the hell went wrong.
And when it comes down to all of it, what is this team lacking? And sure, you could say Rodney Hudson was out, DeAndre Hopkins. I get it. Sure, everybody's got injuries. Okay. What is this team lacking? In my opinion, is leadership. It's leadership. And maybe it's Kyler, maybe it's Cliff. Who knows? But it's a void that is getting bigger and bigger by the moment in game. And it just makes you wonder what's amiss. Because it's fine to be and listen, I'll talk about Cliff ad nauseum from now and through Saturday. So I mean, we can kind of put a little break on that, but like the Cardinals are playing like a team that doesn't know what they're doing. The last couple weeks, they just don't, and it needs to change. I don't know what it is.
I think it might have,
but it needs to change.
I think it might have a solution. Let's get into it.
Oh boy!
I do want to tell you that this holiday season, grab a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, even better than a candy bar. It's Built Bar, filled with so much holiday goodness, rich with decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, amazingly low in calories, low in carbs, but high in protein. What you need. You get the best of the both worlds. Delicious and healthy. So many flavors, reliable flavors you can always get. You can always get the mix box, figure out which is your favorite combination. And they've always got limited time flavors headed your way as well. Built Bar gives you the extra fuel, especially right coming down to the wire during holiday shopping season, because it's a season of peace and love. Don't bring up your favorite Built Bar flavor at the family party. It's a very polarizing subject, but just bring up that you love Built Bars and you all can be one big happy family. Go save yourself some cash. Get yourself the gift that keeps on giving, the Built Bar. Go to Built.com, use the promo 15, get 15% off your order. That's use promo code LOCKED15, LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
BetOnline.ag. The Cardinals were 13-point favorites and lost by 18. So if you had the Cardinals at minus 13, a little bit lighter in the pocket, a little bit lighter in the wallet today, but that doesn't negate the fact that BetOnline.ag is the best place to put down all the cheese you want. NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, etc. They've got a new streamlined interface, looks clean, sexy. Go to betonline.ag. Sign up today. Use promo code locked on for 50% off, or 50% off. Man, we're talking Built Bar here, and that wasn't even Built Bar. You get a 50% deposit bonus on your first deposit with promo code locked on. Go to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today. Receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit using promo code locked on. Bet online, where the game starts.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Cardinals your listen each and every day. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Close to 2,000 subscribers already. Appreciate it. Thank you to everybody. I think one of the biggest solutions to lack of leadership is getting J.J. Watt back in the lineup. We talked about it last week where I thought, hey, his injury passed. We know what it is. He's a guy that's had a tough time staying on the field in his career. But, yeah, lacking any kind of fire, any kind of passion on, his starting 11 offensive and defensive players. I think if J.J. Watt can get back and we, just little glimpses of him warming up, stretching, getting loose, if you get him back maybe for the Dallas game, that'd be huge for this team.
Agreed. Not only for the rah-rah part, but also for the stop-the-run part. Because remember, not only are they playing Jonathan Taylor, but then they get Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So this isn't going to get easier. They need to figure out how to stop the run. I don't know how to do it. I'm not an interior defensive lineman. What I do know is they know not only could they not stop the run, but the interior defensive linemen were responsible for at least 2 roughing the passer calls today. 1 Jordan Phillips and 1 Zach Allen. Okay, so it's the opposite of what we need to see from the interior defensive line. The A gap is just wide open, and and these are against backup running backs, Sony Michel and D Reynolds or whoever played today, Charles Reynolds, Chris Reynolds, whatever. The dude had a career game, good for him, but
yeah,
I mean this is just a laundry list. We haven't reiterated one point. We're just laundry listing multiple things that happened today. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know where you go from here.
And Goff, how well he looked, how well he played against the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm so tired of him having a get right game against the Cardinals. I mean, last year it happened. No, it happened once. He didn't start the second game because he was injured. John Walford played that game, but he was. That's when this hype train of him getting expelled from LA started to begin, and he still came in and beat the crap out of the Arizona Cardinals at home last season. I mean, exactly like he did against them on Sunday, and it's exhausting. Aaron game plan on defense as the DC for this team, and Dan Campbell, credit to him. He was the one calling the off plays. He was the one that kept Jared Goff, making the right decisions as far as the right play calls, and the time of possession battle. It was very lopsided, despite the Arizona Cardinals getting some garbage time to football at the end of that football game. So, man, it was just the messiest of all games. And you talk about it being a throwaway. We've said that before, just one that you want to forget, but you can't, because at this stage in the season, it's out there how you can beat the Arizona Cardinals, and they have to figure out how to combat that. And they've got to play this game of chess. They've got to figure it out, because if they don't, matters. None of it matters. It was cool. It was a cool, fun start, and that's great. But if you're sitting here and you want consolation prizes and you want, the goodie bag at the end of the birthday party, fine. But it doesn't matter at the end of the time. At the end of the day,
I can't believe we got here. I can't believe we're here. Now, the only saving grace of all of this is if the Packers lose to the Ravens with the backup quarterback, and then Tom Brady's against the Saints, but this time it's in Tampa Bay. So the two of those things that, like, if you put a little money line parlay on the Lions, the Ravens, and the Saints to beat the top three teams, you could buy a Ferrari with the chance of that actually happening. So I don't know, man. This is back to the drawing board, like the preseason going into week one. This is the beginning of a new season, because this is where expectations, like you mentioned very correctly, they shifted midway through the season. But now there's going to be ramifications for those expectations that good teams have to deal with. And if Cliff Kingsbury, if they don't make the Super Bowl, I still think that he should be removed from. He should not be extended. And we can talk about that more tomorrow. This is more about the focus of the game today. I don't think he's shown us enough between the ears and leadership-wise to warrant him coming back. I just don't. Marty Schottenheimer got fired after going 14-2 with the Chargers. Okay, so it's not unprecedented. But I think it's time. I think it's time. Unless they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's get into that conversation tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. It's always a great debate between Alex and myself, because we're on two sides of the fence of that. As far as how Cliff performed on Sunday, both of us will agree it was poor. As far as the play calling went, as far as this team and how ready it was, or lack thereof, it was not ready to play. Got smacked in the mouth, dominated. It got dragged through the mud, and it got exposed. And, as the Arizona base that has to defend this team to opposing fans, the opposing fans, unfortunately, can spike the football against the Arizona Cardinals. Those people, calling them fraudulent. I think I agree with that, but you got to change them. You got to change that narrative. And now, next opportunity against a team that was really good on Saturday night, beating up on a really good New England Patriots team, and a team that is just geared, that was like created in a lab to be, a team to expose the Arizona Cardinals for their faults. And that's in the football, and that's having a guy like DeForest Buckner on the interior of that defense that can get after the quarterback. It's going to be a nightmare, unfortunately. So we'll see. Get into that conversation tomorrow. Cliff Kingsbury will have some thoughts on Kyler Murray. Final thoughts on this game that happened on Sunday, 30-12. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. Follow along Locked On AZCardinals at Clancy's Corner and at Bob Brack to follow me, Bo Brock. Check Alex out on Locked On today. He's already starting, I think, the Cliff Kingsbury conversation with Peter Bukowski. And check me out today on Locked On NFL. We'll talk to you guys on Tuesday right here on Locked On Cardinals.